Hi, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Josh.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Hiking Fools, bringing you unique personal insight on Glacier National Park that you can't get anywhere else. In this episode, we are discussing Mount Oberlin, climbing the peak up at Logan Pass, and we'll cover a lot of things that you need to know before you give this a shot. Mount Oberlin is an accessible summit for all ages, and you can view it from a lot of different places along the Going to the Sun Road, as well as Logan Pass. So once you've been up there, it's pretty neat to point at it and say, yeah, that's where I've been.
Yeah, in fact, when you're driving up the Going to the Sun Road, looking up at that mountain, you think, there's no way anyone could climb this mountain. It's actually situated, if you're driving the Going to the Sun Road and you're looking at Bird Woman Falls, it's a big waterfall there, over 400 feet high. You got Oberlin on the left and you got Cannon on the right. So if you're looking at Oberlin, it just looks daunting and you're like, there's no way. But it is climbable and it's kind of a good introduction to mountaineering. It's got some simple scrambling and a little route finding. And just a disclaimer, this is challenging. It's not for beginners necessarily, and you need to be careful. The trail says Climber's Trail only, so it's not for going off on a little nature walk. Make sure you know exactly what you're doing. There's books out there that talk about the route finding. There's two ways to go. You can navigate through the cliffs, or you can also take a little scree section of switchbacks up safely to the summit and back down the same way as well.
Yeah, it's great. It's proximity to Logan Pass makes it an easy target. It's short. I think it's about 1.5 miles in one direction and 2 miles in the other. There's 1,500 feet of elevation gain, so it's challenging. But as Sarah mentioned, you can either take the cliffs and find your way through some class 3, rock, or you can take a scree field, it's a well-marked or it's a well-defined hiker's trail, climber's trail, but be ready to encounter some wildlife.
You start at Logan Pass. Make sure you're careful on when you come up. You got to find a parking spot. Check in at the visitor center because sometimes you've got predators hanging around in that section. You can almost expect it on your way to the base of the mountain. But it's good. The rangers will give you little updates on anything that's going on. If there's a snow field covering your path, you don't want to attempt it with any snow. You want to be careful. But we've seen lots of bighorn sheep. We've seen goats. There's a few little waterfalls that's melting off of Clements Mountain and Oberlin Mountain too. They're really beautiful. A good place to filter water. Probably your last place to filter water. Always bring your filter. Bring plenty of water. There's no shade, so bring sunscreen, hats, layers. Again, you're at Logan Pass. You're along the Continental Divide or pretty close to it, so weather can come up unexpectedly. Always have a rain jacket and be ready for anything.
Yeah, we were there just a week ago. We took our kids, ages 13 and 5, and Sarah was confident. I was a little nervous about the little guy, but this is a mountain that maybe a 5 to 7-year-old can actually climb with some assistance. And we were just there. It was beautiful. What a perfect day to do this. And we saw a few other couples, but we also saw some wildlife. As Sarah mentioned, we saw a large herd of bighorn sheep, big mature males, and goats, within feet. And make sure to give a wide berth to these wildlife. These are, they're wild. And so you can't just walk right up to them, but you certainly get close. And that makes it very exciting. So we saw one of the bighorn sheep running off through the meadow and come to find out afterward that it was being chased by a grizzly bear.
Yeah, we were very bear aware and keeping our senses out there. We never saw the grizzly, but it was very close to where we were. So always make sure you're looking around, making noise, have your bear spray up on your chest, ready to pull out. Practice that when you're on the trail. We hike in grizzly country all the time, and we're always paying attention for bear, but most of the time they see you and you don't see them. But it was pretty cool to see that bighorn sheep run off. He didn't get eaten, but the bear did attempt it.
Yeah, we saw later on social media that was happening. As Sarah mentioned, be ready. A lot more predators, a lot more wildlife sees you, and I don't know how many we've walked by without knowing it.
And Josh mentioned that we brought our kids up there. It's a kid-friendly trail, but you also there's a disclaimer. We climb mountains all the time. We know how to navigate through cliffs and route finding and stuff. So we felt confident and we felt safe. It's not something you want to take inexperienced people on and have your children running around on the cliffs. There are places to fall, and you need to be really careful, and you need to know what you're doing. But you can take the scree section down and up and avoid all of that too. And you still get to the summit. So that's another way to go. You can avoid all the cliffs. The cliffs are kind of fun. Our 5-year-old enjoyed it. We brought little climbing gloves for him, and he didn't enjoy the kind of uphill slog to the saddle between Clements and Oberlin. But he really got into the cliffs, seeing the fossils and knowing that this is what mom and dad do all the time, and I get to experience it too. So he was just smiling through all of that.
What a fantastic moment to reach a summit with your family. Take a photo at the summit cairn, and have that memory. Sarah mentioned there are 2 ways, and our preference is to head up to the left to get to the saddle between Clements and Oberlin and scramble up those cliffs. And then this time we headed down the scree field. So if you know how to scree ski, this is a fun, easy, quick way to get down. Of course, you could go up it too, but it's not far. It's a mile and a half. We ended up 4-mile round trip between the 2 sections, and 1,500 feet of elevation. So it is steep, but Oberlin's a very accessible summit.
And it's pretty popular too. The trail is pretty worn down. There are a few cairns stacked along the cliff section. There's plenty of ways to go through, but you got to know what you're doing and do a little route finding. I would go up ahead a little ways and kind of tell where we needed to go, and then the rest of the family would follow. And don't push your kids up there first. You go first.
Yes, sure. Yeah, snowfields are absolutely a potential concern too, but they can be fun. Our older son, he slid down those. We saw other people on their bellies, on their butts, sliding down this snowfield. So it affords a lot of interesting, unique opportunities. You can look down at Logan Pass. The parking lot looks tiny. People walking up the Hidden Lake boardwalk to the overlook look like ants coming up and down. But you get an interesting view from the top of Mount Oberlin. And of course, it looks deceptively risky as you're driving up the road. You can point it out and say, I've been up to that summit. People will be in disbelief, especially on the hiker shuttle. You've got a lot of visitors that don't know their way around the park. But a lot of summits in the park, you sort of walk up the backside, and from different angles, it looks very different.
These are alpine meadows that you're going through, so make sure you stay on the trail and minimize your footprint, so to speak. You don't want to smash down all those little flowers that have taken years to grow.
Yeah, she's right. The first section of this trail is alpine meadow with beautiful wildflowers, all types of varieties, with the green grass and the blue sky and the yellow glacier lilies and the purple gentian and the red fuchsia paintbrush. It's like a rainbow.
When you're standing on the summit of Mount Oberlin, make sure you do not go further. I've seen people, think, oh, this is not quite the end of the mountain. It's not quite the highest point. I want to go out in that area where there's little chimneys and, stuff sticking up. It's very dangerous. You are not supposed to go past that main summit cairn, so don't do it. Enjoy the view from where you are. It's the best. Just have confidence in that. You are at the best place. Don't go further. It's not worth it.
Yeah, correct. Stay at the summit. It's just a little bit under 8,000 feet. It's not the highest summit around, but you get terrific views in a lot of different directions of the park. You can even see Mount Cleveland from here, which is the highest peak in the park, all the way north. It's a terrific summit with terrific views, and we recommend climbing Mount Oberlin as long as you know what you're getting into. We'll talk some more about it after we take a short commercial break, but stick with us. We've got another segment coming right up.
Hello, this is Don Bennett, President of Freedom Bank in Columbia Falls. While the financial marketplace is in turmoil, rest assured that Freedom Bank has chosen a conservative business model that keeps the bank safe and secure. Rather than investing in Wall Street, Freedom Bank invests in our community. As a local lender rooted in the community, we pride ourselves on our reputation as a safe and secure community bank. Freedom Bank, we want to be your bank.
Welcome back. We are the Hiking Fools, and we have been discussing Mount Oberlin, a very accessible summit right at Logan Pass. It's family friendly. If you are skilled, you know what you're doing, and your kids, have a low fear factor, and they're willing to give it a try with you. But it's a climber's trail only. Don't just venture off for a nature walk. You will see beautiful meadows, subalpine terrain, a lot of wildlife, at least potential for it. We've seen it almost every time that we've done it: bighorn sheep, goats, and a lot of times grizzly bear. And those are permanent residents there up by Logan Pass. But there's a lot of people, so you can feel safe. Never take it for granted that you need to be prepared to encounter wildlife, and take the steps that are necessary. Have your bear spray ready. It's a good idea to practice using it. You can't just expect in the moment. I mean, if you're faced with a bear, it's not the time to fumble with the bear spray and figure out how to use it.
And do a little research before you go. Make sure you take a hiking book with you, a climber's book specifically. They kind of give you pictures. Blake Passmore's book, he's got several climbing books out there. It's not for beginners necessarily, but you can look at that book and it kind of gives you page by page pictures of where you need to go and kind of helpful information when you're climbing a mountain. And it's important to take that with you.
Yeah, sometimes there's a bit of a rock stack that skirting it around the left side is much better than the right. You don't get cliffed out. Climbing Oberlin from the saddle between Clements and Oberlin, again, has a set of cliffs, so a little class 3 scrambling, and you need to be prepared for that. It is dangerous. There's exposure, and you can find your way up to the summit. Once you get pretty close, it's a nice walk up to the finishing last little slope there, and it's exciting, and you can celebrate a triumphant climb of a fairly easy peak in Glacier.
Again, you can see the mountain when you're coming up the Going to the Sun Road, and you can see Bird Woman Falls there, centered directly in the middle of Oberlin, and Mount Cannon that sits in a little hanging valley there where a glacier used to be. But those falls are coming off some melting snow off Oberlin, so it's kind of cool to see from that direction. This mountain was actually named after Dr. Lyman B. Sperry. He kind of came out here and explored in 1895 on an expedition in the park, but he named it after the college he went to in Ohio back in the late 1800s. And he ended up teaching there as well. So he named that mountain with this college in mind, I guess.
Yeah, pretty neat story. I want to mention that this is more of a half-day trip. I mean, you head out for this. It doesn't take all day. Again, it's sometimes difficult to find a parking spot at Logan Pass. Make sure you use your blinker. Right? I mean, if you're coming down from a hike, people will follow you in their car waiting for you to get in yours, and they'll put on their blinker, and it's a big race to get the parking spot. And we're not trying to, but we're going to take our time, and you can too, putting on your, taking off your hiking clothes, putting on your different shoes, getting a drink of water or a snack, enjoy your time up there. But everybody's in the same boat, trying to find a parking spot to access this hike, this climb.
That's why it's kind of a good idea to take the hiker shuttle. You can take hiker shuttles leaving from Apgar. You can drive up to the Loop and take a hiker shuttle all the way up to Logan. And then you don't have to worry about battling with all the people circling for a parking spot.
Absolutely. The free hiker shuttle in Glacier is a great resource. It comes up both directions. I mean, you can come up from St. Mary. There are stops all along the route, all the way down to Rising Sun on the east, and as Sarah mentioned, Apgar on the west. And you can piece it together. Take the shuttle. You might have to wait a little and carry everything you need with you. But you always meet some interesting folks, fellow hikers in Glacier. You might be attempting the same climb, and you can kind of talk it through and or debrief on the way down. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, Logan Pass has some bathrooms too. They have pit toilets on the outside, and when it's later in the season, they open their restrooms with flush toilets up closer to the visitor center. There is a water fountain where you can fill up. They've got a little gift shop on the inside. You can ask questions. Rangers are in there, happy to answer any questions you have. They have the little Hidden Lake Nature Trail. There's plenty to do up at Logan Pass, and Oberlin is one of them.
Yeah, for sure. The gift shop is a great place. Not a whole heck of a lot of food there, so you want to come prepared with what you need to climb or hike. But there's some good takeaways, some great resources, some local authors and map makers, and hiking books, and a lot of resources.
Yeah, there's no food at all. We're up at Logan Pass for you to purchase, so make sure you bring all your trail snacks with you. I don't know if anyone else is a bird nerd like I am, but I love to pull out my phone and click on the Merlin app. It's a free app where I can identify some of these mountain or alpine songbirds, and I use that regularly, especially up near Logan Pass. They're just flying around, also along the Highline Trail. But yeah, along the trail there, you walk through a lot of sub-alpine fir stands, and there's a lot of little songbirds in there that's kind of fun to identify and see.
Yeah, what did we just see? We were there recently with our kids, as mentioned. What was it on the top of that fir tree? A sparrow of some sort?
Yeah, we saw a white-crowned sparrow and a fox sparrow. They have the most beautiful song, so that was kind of cool to see and identify.
A lot of times their song is pretty complex and it's difficult to identify because you do see different birds there than you see down in the valley. You had a pretty good elevation, and of course the classic, beautiful, golden eagle or bald eagle are circling Logan Pass a lot of times, or heading out, above the Highline Trail, above the Sun Road. I'll tell you what, if I was a bird, this is where I would live.
I think I'm turning our 5-year-old into a bit of a bird nerd too. He'll say, "Mom, what kind of bird is that?" And we have to pull the app up, and then our oldest just gives a little eye roll and calls me a bird nerd. So at least I still have someone that's interested in learning about birds.
Yeah, our other little guy, he's off running ahead of us. I think he's passed us in even stamina and speed, and he's exploring everything ahead. We have to continually tell him, come back, stay with us. And that's a good point. As you're hiking, you want to stay in a group. Wildlife predators are often looking for something that is isolated. So if you stay in a group, there's much more safety in numbers.
Yeah, keep your kids close. But we also want to say that the bears out there are not walking around looking for people to hunt and to eat. That's not how it is. We've had a lot of grizzly and black bear encounters fairly close, unintentionally, and they've never been negative. They're literally just doing bear things, but you never want to startle them, so make plenty of noise. They're not out there looking for you. They're literally just looking to survive and doing bear things.
Yeah, wildlife is a beautiful thing to experience when it's on their terms, and you need to respect that. You're up at Logan Pass, and in this case, your purpose is to climb Mount Oberlin. But as I mentioned, it's really more of a half-day trip, if that. And so there's other things to do. You could take in another summit if you feel like it. You could walk up the boardwalk to check out the Hidden Lake Overlook as kind of a cool down. I've seen people skiing down the permanent snowfield on Mount Clemens, which is kind of near the saddle of Oberlin. And it's amazing. Even early in the season when the road is still closed to traffic, I'll see people biking with their alpine skis on their back and kind of check it out. I did it once, and the snow was a little pocky and it wasn't the greatest skiing, but hey, you can catch a few lines at a mountain near the Continental Divide at Logan Pass in Glacier National Park, and that's a story to tell. Mount Oberlin, what a terrific summit to take in. A great place to start if you're visiting. As long as you know what you're doing, maybe check in with the ranger at the visitor center up there. Let somebody know where you're going, and you may see others, but it's a climber's trail, so it's not just a little hike off to the side. It is with intention to summit Mount Oberlin. Make sure you have everything you need. A climbing helmet is not a bad idea. You're going to want your bear spray. You'll encounter wildlife. It's 1.5 to 2 mile one-way summit, and it's 1,500 feet of elevation. The summit is about 7,900 feet, close to 8,000. So you're already up on the Continental Divide, and this mountain provides tons of views into all parts of the park. And we love it. It's family friendly, at least for serious hikers. And Mount Oberlin, take it in. It's just to enjoy the beauty and consider it an entry point into climbing in the park. So we love it. We think you will too. Tune in next time as we talk more about the area around Logan Pass. And remember to follow this podcast on Apple or Spotify. I'm Josh.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Hiking Fools, encouraging you to always go